Good morning, everyone. How are you today? It's Saturday, and I'm really excited because I get to go see some friends for lunch and go see a different group of friends for crafty stitching night this evening. It's going to be a really good day. Before I get going and have to leave the house and start running all my errands, I thought I would sit down and do a finish for Friday, but it's Saturday again. I had every intention, you guys, of coming home last night after work and doing my Finish for Friday video, and then my guild was raiding Tanan Jungle, and so I played with them all night, and we killed lots of stuff and XP and loot and, you know, the whatnots. But anyway, you're not here for that. You're here for a finish on Friday. So today I pulled out two of my pansy finishes just because they're in the same book, and I figured that you didn't want to see the same book twice in a row or in a little bit. But here it is, Cross Stitch Pansies, and the one pattern I did was this one right here, the little pansy wreath, and then over here on the back, this little one that they did on a sachet. I also have stitched that and finished it up. If I remember correctly, I'll just flip through the book. Yep, the patterns in here are black and white, easy to read, super, it's a great book if you love pansies. And I don't recall having any problems while I was stitching up my two patterns out of it. But anyway, so here's this finish. Up close, there's the pansy wreath. I suppose if I was extra creative, I could go back and stitch an initial or something there in the center, but I haven't because I'm lazy like that. And it's done, and it's in the box. I think this might be a Sudbury box. Michaels used to sell them a long time ago in the mid-90s. And so I picked up a couple different sizes of these little oak boxes and just fit them in. So my finishing here is super professional, as you can see. I put a little bit of batting on this piece of cereal box, and then put the batting down, put the stitching on, kind of got it all centered, and then taped it down with packing tape. So that sucker is not going anywhere. Not at all. I'm a little afraid to pull it apart if I was going to stitch something in the middle there, simply because the tape has been on for so long. I don't know what the state of the Aida is. I believe I stitched that on 14 count Aida. One of the first things I did. I can see in one of my pansies as I look at it real close, some of the top stitches are going this way and some of the top stitches are going that way, which means this was really early in my stitching career and I hadn't got it all figured out quite yet. And so here's the other little finish from that book. They stitched it on a sachet, and I just also put it in another one of these little boxes. This is a tiny little one. And I just finished it the same way with packing tape, cereal box, and a little bit of batting. They get dusty, and occasionally I'll get out like a lint roller and roll the lint roll over the top of it to pick up some of the dust. But they've been around since the late 90s, so they're just a little dirty. This one I've got top stitches going every which way as well. I think I stitched these at about the same time. I definitely remember stitching the first one at school while I was getting my associate's degree, and I had like a 2 or 3 hour break, and so I would stitch in between class. Sorry guys, I had to sneeze, so I edited the sneeze out right there. That's the little jump. So stitch this. It's really lovely. I like it so much. Let's see, now I pulled out the original cross stitch tag to go over, just because Yeah, 5-minute video's okay, but I really like the videos that are in the 20 to 30-minute range. It's still short enough that I can get some stitching to, but not extra long that it's so long that I can't get it all in one shot. So let's do the original stitching tag. I wrote notes. So how did you start and who introduced you to cross stitch? Well, I'd have to say sometime in the mid-80s, my mom taught my sister and I how to cross stitch. It was over the summer, we were out of school. I think she was hoping to give us something to do that would keep us out of her hair. Do you have a favorite theme or designer? It's probably a tie as far as theme goes. I love pansies and I love Christmas. And so I have about the same number of patterns that are just plain old Christmas or plain old pansies. Pansy patterns are a little more rare, so I will go out hunting for pansies, whereas I just let the Christmas stuff come to me because there's just so many patterns. It's hard to not find a Christmas pattern. As far as designers go, I'd have to say it's probably Lizzie Kate, just because I've completed more Lizzie Kate items than anything else. But I do love the Mirabilias and the Noras. Love them. What floss brand do you use? Usually what's ever called for. I haven't done something that required super fancy silks or anything. Well, no, that's a lie, because you can see my heirloom nativity I've hung up back here behind me. And that did require a lot of silks, but they sold a little packet that had enough of the silks to do the project. So I just bought the little packet. So that was really great. It came out perfectly. I had plenty of leftover, I think, on all the flosses and all the silks. I didn't run out of anything, but that's neither here nor there. I usually go with DMC just because it is easily accessible. I can get it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann's. They're all around. I also have two not so local LNSs. One's in Salt Lake in Fort Union area, and then the other is up in Ogden, that Shepherd's Bush. And so if I need something, I can, gather up a list of what I need for like Weeks or Gast or Classic Colorworks and just make out a list and then go up there if I need something. Or, I just save up my list, and if I don't have any time to go up to Ogden, I can just order from 123 Stitch, since they're just on the other side of the mountain here, and they're close, and it's easy. Okay, 4. What is your fabric of choice? I usually go for a 32 count linen, 28 count linen I also like quite a bit. I'm playing around with some 40 count linen on a different project, and that's turning out really quite delicate. But I'd have to say the 32 count's my go-to count. I like it. I like linen. It has personality. Some people don't like the flubs and the slubs and the randomness, but I like it. I think it's just, personality. It's fun. Do you use a needle threader or are you a floss licker? I'm a floss licker. How can you not want to taste all of those beautiful, beautiful colors, right? Right? They're beautiful. They're going to taste beautiful. Right. Well, that, and I don't really understand floss threaders. Could be because I'm using it wrong, but you have your floss threader, you slide your needle on, you put your 2 bits of floss through the end of the threader, and then you're supposed to be able to pull your needle off the threader and drag the threads through. How is this supposed to work if you can't get 2 widths of thread through an eye? How on earth are you going to get 4 widths of thread through the eye? I don't get it, guys. I don't understand needle threaders. Let's see, where am I? 6. What kind of stitching frame do you use? For the most part, I just use one of these real simple spring tension hoops. When I buy a new one, I bring it home, I give it a good bath, because sometimes the hoops, both this one and this one, can pick up some dirt and dust, and that'll leave a mark on your fabric. So when I get a new one, I bring it home, it gets a bath. It's really portable. It's small enough. I think this is either 5 or 6 inches. It's small. It gives me plenty of area to work on, so I'm not constantly moving my hoop. I really like them. They do kind of leave a mark on the fabric, but I try to pull them off every week or so. I'm not one of those that'll take it off of the hoop every time I stop. But if it's going to be like a week or so, then I'll pull it off and just tuck it all in. I also have a Stitch Mate frame and several different sizes of scroll bars for that one. And so some of my bigger projects that I just want to work on at home and not take anywhere, they get put on the Stitch Mate frame. And I really like that frame. It's a nice frame. Unfortunately, it's not being sold anymore. The fellow who produced them died several years ago of cancer. And so I can't get new parts or different sizes of scroll rod or anything anymore. But I do really like it. Let's see. How many projects have you finished? So I had to get out the bin of shame again, guys, and count them all. So when it comes to finished stitching, this is just finished stitching alone. I haven't done anything to it. Just finished. I counted them all up and I have 54 projects in the bin of shame that are finished. And then if you want to go to projects that I have finished and framed, or finished or framed, and these include the things that I've given away, that's another 41 projects that I have stitched up, framed up. Some are ornaments, some I've given away. And so for a total of 95 projects. I've got 95 projects that I have completed the stitching on. And about half of those roughly have been finished and framed. 8. How many completed works do you have displayed in my home? Right now I've got about 24 of them hanging up on the walls. My bedroom has the biggest concentration of things with about 7. The craft room, there's 5 things hanging up in here. My sister has 2 things hanging up in her room. A couple that I've done for her. The living room, we have 3, 4 things hanging up. There's some blank wall space I'm about to go crazy with. Are you coming up? Yep. Here's Zoe. She's come to say hello. Hi. Okay. Let's see. The next question: do you do more stitching for gifts, or do you keep them for yourself? By far, I keep my. Are you going to knock that over? By far, I do stitching for myself. There are a lot more things that I still have that I've done for myself. I counted the things that are missing that I've given away, and it only amounts to 14. So of 95 of those projects, only 14 have been given away. All right, now you're in trouble. You're in the way. Here you go. There you go. My goodness, I sneezed earlier and my nose is just still running from that sneeze. So, yes, I keep more than I give away. What's my favorite project or finishing technique? Probably framing, just because it is so easy and somebody else does it and I don't have to worry about it. Well, I do, but not as much. And I'm not as paranoid that I'm going to mess up a seam or sew something wrong or glue it wrong or cut where I shouldn't have cut or made a mess of it. So I usually just get my stuff framed because it's easy. 11. What has been your least or worst experience stitching? I really haven't had a bad one, you guys. I haven't had a project that I just keep miscounting over and over again and can't, fudge it or figure it out. I haven't had a pattern that was impossible to read. I've had a really lucky time with stitching in that everything's worked out okay, There are, some things that are frustrating, like some of the mirabilias. They're done on a 32 count, and as most of us know, the Mill Hill beads are a little bit too big for the 32 count. And so with those, I've just learned to fudge the beads. If I need to take one out, I take one out, and it works just fine. Nobody's going to be comparing the pattern to the final stitch piece and telling me that, oh, you did it wrong, you missed a thing here. So luckily for me, I don't have anything that I have wanted to cut to shreds or set on fire or do any of that stuff. So that, I think, is really lucky and quite a blessing. What do you hate about cross stitch? You guys, I hate that all the designers are always coming out with wonderful, fabulous new stuff all the time. They need to stop. They need to give me like a 2-year break. Don't release anything 2 years so I can get caught up. There's so much stuff. You know, it's stuff overload. Right? Am I right? You know, buy the pattern, buy the dream. There's just, yeah, that's the only, you know, I just hate it. And like most of you, I hate how long it takes, where you can look at something, you say, oh yeah, I'll be done with that, no time at all. And a month later, you're still kind of working at it. You're going, yeah, any day now, it'll be done. And it's still not done. It's like my Satsuma Street. So cute, so pretty, absolutely love it. But that sucker is deceptively evil. Not evil, it's deceptive. I totally lost my train of thought, you guys. It's deceptively simple looking, when in reality there's a lot of color changes. You do, you know, 6 or 7 colors and then you switch and do 6 or 7 stitches again. So it is what it is. It is what it is. What do I love about cross stitch? All the things, guys. All the things. I love the flosses, I love the fabric, I love the embellishments, I love all the silly accessories that we've got going on, I love the scissor fobs, I love the pin cushions, I love the needle minders, I love all the things. I love all the variety. You know, there's stuff that I love that none of you would stitch, there's stuff that you love that doesn't interest me at all. It's just so much variety. I love it, you know, which is part of the problem, which goes back to the things I hate, which is the variety. I love the variety, I hate the variety. It's a double-edged sword. Have you ever introduced anyone else to cross stitch? Not for lack of trying. Hey, try this, or hey, try that. Or some people, I think it's politeness for the most part on their part. They'll see what I'm doing and hey, well, what is that? Oh yeah, I'd kind of like to learn, but they really don't. I think for most cross stitchers, it's sort of a love at first stitch sort of thing. So, you know, you kind of have to do it, and you kind of know if you're going to do it or not. For most of us. Some people, not so much. What was my first project, and did I finish it? There is this little butterfly that I stitched in 1985. I had to have been about 11 if I'm doing my math right. This is one that we did over the summer when Mom was trying to keep my sister and I busy. So there's my first cross stitch, and did I finish it? Yes, here it is, and yes I did. It lives in the box of shame, and I fished it out. It could use a wash. What was your first finish? There it is, right there. How do you store your cross stitch floss? This is a fun one, and I think I showed you guys the other day, but I got one of my boxes down. So I have these rectangular boxes from IKEA, and I got the Anchor Cosmo Sullivan's Fabrics by LJ Threadworks box down, just because it's a little more empty than some of the other ones. So I just store them in the snack baggie with the card that has the number for like the Cosmo and the Anchor and the Sullivan's and the DMC. Did I say DMC? I forget. Anyway, so like this, but if it has a name, like the Threadworks ones, it gets sorted alphabetically. So that's how they're stored. Let's see, if I hold up the box, you can kind of see how there is another cut for another one of these separators. I just throw these separators out for these other two, and the boxes fit, or the bags I should say, they just fit perfectly right there in the space provided. That way I don't feel like they're getting too compressed together. there's a lot of room to wiggle them around, to move things around, to make sure they fit well. I don't know, it just works. I can pull out the box and drag it with me into the living room if I'm looking for flosses in there instead of sorting out for a new project in here. I just like them. They've got enough versatility, you know, enough utility for me that it works just perfectly. And that is the end of what is referred to as the original cross stitch tag. So that is everything for today. Like I said, I get to go have lunch with some friends that I haven't seen for a little while, and then it's crafty stitchy night, so I get to go stitch away the evening with some other friends, and that will be a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you so much for everyone for commenting and subscribing and liking. I really appreciate it. It makes me feel like I'm not just speaking out to the great beyond, to the great nothingness that's out there in the internet. I love you all. I watch a lot of you. I'm trying to keep up with my subscribers, and you know, if you've got a couple of videos, I'll subscribe to you. If not, my list is so crazy I haven't got to the point where I'm just subscribing to everybody who subscribes to me. I kind of ought to get back to that, but oh man, there's a lot of you guys, and I appreciate it, and I love it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. I hope all your stitchy dreams come true, and that Mr. Frog stays far, far away. Obviously, we did not run him over when we saw him on the freeway last week, but if you catch him, do it. Hugs and stitches. Bye.